many of the people I'm talking to are finding themselves in this state where they know that they should be making phone calls. They know they should be following up. They know that they should be doing these certain things every single day that give them the power, and yet they don't. I want to talk to you today about what I've done in my own life to go from a very high creative to a high creative who executes his face off, who has discipline as one of my greatest assets today. And listen, it is a trained behavior, my friends. It is a trained behavior. You've heard me talk about the Emerson quote. It's one of my all-time favorites. Do the thing, have the power. Do not the thing, have not the power. If I could help you accomplish one thing today, it would be to show you exactly how you do the thing to get the power. So let's jump right into that. I was always intrigued by how do I have that right attitude, that go-getter attitude, that go-getter mindset? And it wasn't until Bill Mitchell said to me that your attitude, you have to first look up here, your attitude is a representation of three things. One is your self-talk, the things you say to yourself, about yourself, and other people. It's the narrative and story of your life. We all know that person that they literally talk themselves out of success every single day. They're constantly sharing their problems, their complaints, telling us what they're not good at, how they're bad at this. Do you know someone like that? Do you have some self-awareness around that? So that's your self-talk, the things you're saying to yourself, about yourself, and other people. And the most damaging is the things you're saying to yourself that are actually stymieing your growth. The second thing he said is your focus. And I said, could you help me understand? He said, your focus is determined by the questions that you ask yourself most often. So if you ask yourself questions like, why is there no inventory? And how come my business is this way? If you're asking questions like that, your brain is going to give you the answers and actually reinforce more of what you don't want. So we have to take responsibility for the questions that we ask ourselves to direct our focus towards what it is that we want, our goals, our dreams, the mission, what gives us passion, what gives us energy, not what takes our power away. The third part he said is your physiology, the way you move your body. I think about professional athletes, rock star salespeople like yourself. They have a certain physical swagger about them, right? Like that walk when you just took a listing, or you just made a sale, or you just helped a client, you talked him out of doing a deal and you just felt so great about it. It shows in your physiology. I used to do this example all the time in seminars. I'd say, everybody take your arms and go like this. Now, if you're driving, please don't do this. And it'd be hysterical if you were just on a train right now with your earbuds. Actually put your arms up in the air like this. If you put your arms up in the air like this, this is good, Richard behind the camera is doing it, and you look straight up and you put a really big goofy smile on your face in this position, get depressed. Let me give you a little heads up. You can't, because this is the physiology of joy and celebration and fun. We know the physiology when I say, hey, make your phone calls. We see people literally, physically collapse. Now, those three things are just a representation of your attitude. So these three things control your attitude, and your attitude is simply your view of the world. That's really all it is. Do you see the glass half full? Do you see it half empty? Do you see nothing but opportunity in your marketplace? Or do you see a lack of inventory in your marketplace? It's just your view of the world. But here's the bummer. You ready? How you view the world determines the actions that you take. And guess what? If I view the world as the services that I deliver help customers, and you know what? They need good quality rockstar real estate agents like myself, so I'm going to talk to everybody I can to help those people, well, then you're going to take all the right action. So let's talk about the three actions that I've taken repeatedly and I'm strongly recommending for you. The very first action is awareness. Becoming aware that this current pattern you're running is actually creating a disaster in your life. Becoming aware that your self-talk does have an impact. Becoming aware that the questions that you're asking yourself, why does this keep happening to me, is exactly why it keeps happening to you. And also awareness, and you know this, that the way you move your body impacts everything in your life. So awareness is the first thing. But under awareness, this is what I did early and I continue to do today. If I really need to get myself committed around something, I'll ask myself, what are the serious negative consequences I'm going to experience if I continue doing this behavior? Get enough fear and anxiety and stress and pain out in your future, and you're going to immediately start saying, I got to detour away from that. But what am I going to detour and go towards? The things I most want, the benefits. So awareness is the first step. Look at number 2. You have to replace the old pattern with a new pattern. And I said, Show them what you do before you actually say, I'm gonna make some phone calls, or like in that moment. And literally you had, 3,000 people at a time going, okay, I gotta make my phone calls. And you could see the whole room, their physiology was off. You could hear the conversations in the room were meek and not powerful. Then I said, now let's create a new pattern. So what would you say to yourself, right? Before you make the phone calls to really empower yourself? What question would you ask to drive home, in the case of the phone calls, the right behavior, the benefits of, as an example? And then how would you move your body? And guess what? Now all of a sudden we create this magic where literally people are doing this, like, okay, right now, like I'm fired up, I love the phone, I love getting on the phone, I love helping customers, I love making phone calls, I love solving problems, I love reaching out to people. They're in this dialogue, and those were horrible, by the way, but it's just a simple example. The bottom line is you start talking yourself into it. Without number 3, it doesn't work. Accountability around conditioning. Accountability around conditioning. Do you follow me on Instagram? Have you noticed on my Instagram stories that I post things like, 1 of 250, 35 of 250, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week? I made this commitment last November that I would train 5 days a week in the gym, right? Weight training, not cardio, weight training 5 days a week. And I made the decision to create massive accountability with, 40, 50,000 people on Instagram to let them know I'm doing it every single day. Does that make sense? That's a way to make sure that I'm conditioning the right behavior, showing up no matter how much sleep I didn't get to do the thing that gives me the power.